Sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the gold nerfs that are going to be happening in the Cataclysm 25-man heroic raid instances in Legion. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, farming the Cataclysm raids on 25-man on heroic is actually a very good way to generate a consistent, basically guaranteed income. You don't have to worry about any other players, you don't have to worry about supply and demand, the auction house, anything like that. It's just a raw gold farm, money in the bank. And so everybody's been doing this ever since the beginning of the expansion. I originally made a video about it at the beginning of Warlords of Draenor, and as the expansion has progressed and people have gotten more gear, the method has of course become more accessible. So before I explain what the nerfs are, I kind of want to explain how you actually make this money. Now, in all of the Cataclysm 25-man heroic raids, and so that means Blackrock Descent, or Blackwing Descent, Bastion of Twilight, Throne of the Four Winds, Firelands, and Dragon Soul, each boss you kill drops about 125 raw gold. Okay, on top of that, it drops between, let's say, 5 and 9 different items, and each item ranges in value between 5 gold to, let's say, 50 gold, somewhere around there. I would say on average, each item sells for maybe 10 to 15. Usually it's towards the lower end because of the tier pieces are only worth about 5 gold. So because of that, people have been using this farming method, as I said, for the entire expansion, and has added a lot of gold into the economy, and coupled with the garrison missions, with the treasure finder trait, and how much gold that's injected into the economy, there has been a huge amount of inflation in Warlords of Draenor, more than any other expansion in the history of WoW. So what's going to be happening in Legion is that at the beginning of the Legion beta, they nerfed the sale prices for each of the items that you would get from each of those bosses in those Cataclysm 25-man heroic raids by, ironically, about 25%. Now, this is kind of like what we thought was going to be the end of it. I never really made a video about this because I didn't really feel like it was that big of a deal, because also in Legion you're going to be level 110 and you're going to be doing even more damage to those bosses, and even though you can almost one-shot them now, being able to kill them even more quickly, I don't know if it's really 25% more efficient in Legion, but it is going to go faster, and so maybe trying to average out and not make the farming spot or the farming method even more efficient was kind of what I expected them to try to do with nerfing the gold value from each of the boss items. Now, that's kind of what we expected what it was going to stay like. But recently, the gold value of each item, the gold value of just the raw gold that you get from the boss, so the 125 gold is now only about 68. So the gold has been literally cut in half. And so I guess if we were going to look at the gold value from each item, I would say the spot has been nerfed in effectiveness by about 60%. So was it 60%? Yeah, somewhere around 60%. Or no, sorry, I do apologize. It's been nerfed by about 40%. It's going to be about 60% as efficient in Legion as it is right now in Warlords of Draenor. So if you were going to make 10,000 gold now, you would only make, like, let's say 6,000 gold in Legion. These are all like made up numbers, but I guess you guys can see where I'm coming from. So a lot of people are kind of frustrated about this, myself included, but I can understand why they're doing it. So I kind of want to, express to you guys what really the issue is, tell you guys about the situation, and you guys can make up your own mind whether you think this is a good idea or not. So anyway, inflation is really kind of a big problem, and for those of you guys that don't necessarily understand where this is, anything, I'm going to do like a very simple example. Okay, let's say all of the currency in the entire game is 1,000 gold. Okay, and the only things that you can buy in the game are bears, and there's only 10 bears. So if there's only 10 bears and there's 1,000 gold, each bear is worth, obviously, 100 gold. But let's say you double that, you double the amount of money in the economy. So now we have 2,000 gold in the whole economy, but we still only got 10 bears. That means that each bear is now worth, comparatively, since we doubled the money, the value of the bears is doubled as well, because there's no extra bears for that money to go after. So if you increase the amount of money, but not the amount of bears or items, you get inflation. And so where the bears were only worth 100 gold whenever there was 1,000 gold in the economy, now that there's 2,000 gold in the economy, the bears are now worth 200 gold. So the reason that that's kind of a problem is there's a number of reasons. Just ever increasing numbers in any sort of a game based on kind of what players are doing is usually kind of an issue, and it will in one way or another lead to some sort of a breaking point. If you go to like gold caps, health values for bosses, anything like that, at one point or another, if you just have ever increasing numbers, you're going to eventually hit some sort of a cap. Now, that also makes it harder for older players to come back into the game and really kind of still have their what the money they had, still have value. So in that way, I can really understand why Blizzard is really trying to do this. And obviously, they're also taking away the treasure finder trait that you're getting from your garrison followers in Legion, and I don't really think it's being replaced with anything that's even close to as lucrative as that was. So they're basically trying to reduce inflation in the economy so they don't have to have more fucking 2 million gold spider mount gold sinks, right? And I can totally understand where they're coming from. And I do think inflation is a really big problem, and I think they should do a lot of things to combat that. What's frustrating for me, though, is that it seems like sometimes whenever Blizzard makes decisions like this, it kind of pigeonholes players into certain types of gameplay and certain types of content. One thing that I always really liked about doing the Cataclysm 25-man heroic raids, there are a lot of reasons why I liked farming old raids, and they did this, by the way, to BWL, maybe I think it was in like the middle of Cataclysm or something like that. Because you used to be able to solo BWL, and BWL items sold for less, but each of the bosses in BWL dropped between, I think it was 200 and 300 gold. So you would want to do BWL every single week, if for no other reason than to make a couple thousand gold, because especially back then, that was a lot of money. But as it became more accessible to players to actually go on and farm all that themselves, Blizzard decided that basically it was too efficient, and they wanted to make it less efficient, so they did the same thing. So they've done this before. Anyway, I always really did like going back and doing BWL and kind of reliving the memories of maybe doing it for my first time, getting some cool new items, and, a lot of other stuff like that. It's a break in the monotony of farming different instances. It's like you're moving towards something, you're getting rewarded while you're moving towards it. There's a lot of variety in what your kind of rewards are going to be, but there's also a certain sense of inevitability of being able to get something out of it whenever you finish what you're doing. And also, after you kill Nefarian, you're done. It's not like this is an endless farming cycle. It's not like it's anything like that. And whenever you're lower geared, it always gives you something to kind of like work towards and like, oh, hey, I'm going to see if I can kill Nefarian now. And it was entertaining for me, and I really, really did enjoy that type of gameplay. Now, I feel the exact same way with the Cataclysm 25-man heroic raids. Whenever I go in there and I'm able to just go through and kill Magma again, or go and kill the Omnitron Defense System, or Atramedes, or whatever, every single time I kill that type of boss, or that boss, it always reminds me of like whenever I killed it for the first time, getting the items. It's like, oh, hey, should I save this cool item? Seeing all the cool new items in the game. And if for no other reason, it gives players a reason to go back and, re-experience content that in, I guess like for any other reason, isn't really very incentivized. So, farming the old raids was always something that I really enjoyed doing. I still do it now all the time, and I'll probably still do it in Legion. Now, one of the reasons I think they could also be doing this is that it could be coupled with the wardrobe added, and whenever the wardrobe is going to be added, there's going to be an extra incentive for players to go back and farm old content in order to get things through the Transmog wardrobe, and with that increased participation in getting all those items and everything, people are going to be receiving more and more raw gold, adding it into the economy. And as I said before, this is a raw gold, money in the bank farm. So that means that every single time that you, I guess, like get this money, you're just plainly adding money into the economy without actually adding any items for that money to have its value attached to, and or at least spread out among. So it just makes more and more inflation, and it makes the items that are currently in the economy even more and more valuable, which can be very bad for players that don't necessarily have access. Don't necessarily have access to that type of content, or just came back to the game. So, I'm kind of of two minds about this, and so that's kind of the argument. Is it better to have the inflation, or better to have the, I guess, like the breadth of content where you can, go fight through Blackwing Descent or something like that instead of farming bears, or I guess we use bears for something else, but instead of farming something else, like just farming Windwool Cloth or Frostwave Cloth, you could go and farm through Blackwing Descent, maybe get a couple cool items, and really kind of not be have it not be a monotonous experience. So, those are kind of the two, I guess, like opposing viewpoints. And as I said, I can kind of see both sides, and I'd be kind of curious to hear what you guys think. Either way, it doesn't really matter what way this kind of turns out on, if it gets reverted or not. I don't really think that it will. But if it does get reverted, I will understand why they did do it, and I will also understand why they didn't do it. So I hope they make the right decision. Legion, they've been going really pretty hard with, like what they think the game should be, where they think the game should go. And in a lot of ways, I said this, I think in my last video, that gives me a lot of hope and a lot of confidence that they have a decided direction in which they want to take the game. Now, the real question is that direction the right way? And honestly, the only way we can know that is time. So I hope that what they're doing is going to, yield the right results or what they want it to be. But as I said, only time will tell. So I'd be very curious to hear what you guys think about this whole situation. For me, it's going to be disappointing because it was a main way that I would make a lot of money. And I think a lot of other people feel the same way. But inflation is a really big problem, so I can see why they're doing it. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got. So thank you for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.